We're going to get started, and we welcome everyone to come in a little closer. You're okay with that, and just be over here.
Joey, Tim, come on up here by me.
Yeah, come on in. And we're going to start with reading of a mishtika, which is a word that means the spirit of the struggle. And are we good on the live? Okay, awesome.
Change begins with the telling of untold stories, and we are gathered here to tell our story. This quote is a picture of our stories and represent millions more. They show the story of our class, the poor and dispossessed.
You can go across.
The story of the 24 million people being cut off of Medicaid. The story of the more than 90 million people in this country who will make up this growing nonviolent Medicaid army. Of the 140 million poor and low-income people in this country that grows larger.
That we, the organized poor and dispossessed, have to offer our sick society. We are here today to say that in the richest nation in the history of the world, it does not have to be like this.
We are here today, many colors, all ages, queer and straight, urban and rural, of every creed, from every background, united across lines of division, to raise our voices and say that these Medicaid cutoffs equal death.
Poverty is the fourth leading cause of death in the U.S., and a leading cause of poverty is a denial of health care and the accumulation of medical debt. We say enough is enough. We say we are going to organize, organize, organize.
We are going to fight. We are going to make this struggle a school, and we aren't going to stop. We, the organized poor, are going to lift up our voices and carry this spirit of struggle. We are going to unsettle this system that kills us in the name of profits, and in its place, we are going to put people first. 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 Put people first.
Put people first.
So I invite maybe a couple of folks can come up and take one of these candles to distribute among us. Take a few and distribute them. Thank you so much, Elise. And these are just ones that you turn on with a little switch at the bottom. There's 24 candles here that represent 1 million, right? So each candle represents 1 million people who stand to be cut off of health care. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Hey guys, so my name is Lauren Michaels. I'm from Altoona, PA, born and raised. I joined Put People First back in 2020, right before the pandemic lockdown started. I'm not sure what else to share about myself besides I'm a working class person just like yins all are. I work on a horse farm. I'm a professional boxer. Like I do dirty, poorly paid jobs for a living. I don't have good health care. I've been through hell with my health. Some of you guys know, like a year ago, I had 3 eye surgeries because I detached my retina. I got stuck with thousands of dollars of bills on that. This organization helped me to get a lot of those bills eliminated with some holidays. That was freaking awesome. I'm forever grateful for that. The other ones I'm just not paying, so forget it. Because I can't afford it. I cannot afford it. My options were to go blind or go into medical debt, so I went into medical debt. And it shouldn't have to be like that. Nobody should have to make those kind of freaking decisions in their life. Like I shouldn't have to decide between being able to see out of both of my eyes or not having a savings account anymore and struggling to pay my bills every damn day anymore. Like that's bullshit. Pardon my language. He's asleep anyways.
Yes, give it up for Lauren, y'all. This is her first time emceeing an event, so this is awesome. And I'm Nijmi. I live in Clearfield, PA. I'm a co-founder of Put People First PA. And I mean, I was raised to just avoid going to the doctor altogether, honestly. So I entered this healthcare fight for myself, for my family. So many of my family members have died for lack of care in different ways. And I also see how this struggle connects all of us, because all of us have a body and we all need health and health care. And health is so deeply tied up to all of the systemic evils that we talk about in the Poor People's Campaign: systemic racism, poverty, environmental devastation, militarism. You can't really talk about any of those things without talking about health. And so this is the Nonviolent Medicaid Army Week of Action 2023. And we're so blessed to be here at the First Lutheran Church in Johnstown. Really want to thank Josh, who's actually making food for us right now. Thank you, Josh. And
a hearty welcome from the back of the kitchen.
And want to thank Ron, co-coordinator of this Healthcare Rights Committee with myself. And so we're here to be part of this week of action that's taking place not only across Pennsylvania, but across the country. There are actions this week taking place. What are some states where actions are taking place? Call them out if you know. Wisconsin.
Georgia. New York.
Georgia,
Texas.
New York, Texas. What else?
Wyoming.
Vermont, Wyoming,
How could we forget Wyoming?
Indiana. Yes. So there's many states taking action this week. And in small places like Johnstown, all around the country, right? So our movement is organizing across lines of division, across the urban-rural divide, across the racial divide, across the party divide. So we're having an event in Elkhart, Indiana, and Augusta, Georgia, and all these places that certain folks won't even go and organize in. So the theme of our week of action this year is Medicaid cuts equals death. How many people know someone who's been impacted by these Medicaid cuts? You, or someone you know, or someone in your family, or someone you've seen online? We've been doing something called Medicaid Mondays every single Monday since April, since these cuts got started. And this beautiful quilt that you see here is 2 sections of what actually has 5 sections that will be in Harrisburg all together tomorrow. So this is gonna be even bigger. It's gonna have 3 more sections. We came, Rika and Barbara and myself and Harrison, we were in Pittsburgh earlier today. We brought a section of the quilt and we joined it up with this section for Central Appalachia, and tomorrow we're gonna join it up with 3 more sections, so it's gonna be massive. And I really encourage people to look at the quilt and read the quilt. Many of us are on there, because this represents the purpose of this social media campaign with all of our other tactics, and Lauren's gonna talk about some of what we've been doing. It's not just to say, oh, here are individuals that are impacted by these cutoffs. It's about the fact that if millions of individuals who are impacted by these cutoffs realize that they are not alone, that we actually can join together, because this is a massive social problem that requires a massive social movement, then we can build our collective power. And that's what this quilt represents. It's not just the stories of a bunch of individuals. It's us collectively coming together to say, you know what, we're all going through this, and we all can make a change, but only if we get united together. So really grateful to be here with you all. Lauren, do you want to say anything about what we've been doing, and then maybe you can start to invite our speakers. I know Janina's going to speak, okay. Frank and Maddie will speak, and so you can start bringing them up. Yeah, sure.
I took notes, so let me pull this up real quick. Like I said, never did this before. Pull this closer. So as you guys obviously all know, the U.S. government is trying to cut people off of Medicaid. 184,758 people have lost their health care since the end of July. So that's from April to July, almost 200,000 people. The last So in late 2022, there was a bipartisan deal between the Biden administration and Congress that lifted pandemic continuous coverage requirements that prevented states from kicking people off of Medicaid. Since then, that is why all these people have been losing their health care. These requirements that were lifted were originally created and they created record Medicaid enrollment, and removing them puts 15 million people total in danger of losing their health care. 15 million people,
24 million now.
up to 24 million. Since I wrote this like 2 days ago, the number's even higher. It's absolutely ridiculous. 73% of the people who have already lost coverage were due to procedural issues. That could be something like not turning your paperwork in time, having the wrong phone number down, having the wrong address. A simple problem like that was enough for you to lose your health care. The US military can lose an entire fighter jet somewhere, and it's no big deal. Our taxes will cover that. But if you put the wrong address on your paperwork and don't send it in exactly on time, you can lose your health care.
Boom. That's right.
Where is the sense in that? What's
wrong?
What freaking sense is that?
It's immoral.
It's
wrong.
It's
They
disgusting.
put materials over humans.
Exactly.
Took me 10 months to almost a year to get benefits from Medicaid.
Exactly.
Without we didn't have.
Why?
That's not right. You're gonna die. I mean, that's
Exactly.
not wrong.
My partner's on disability, and it took him years to get disability payments. And for why? All of this, they've lifted these requirements, they've kicked people off of Medicaid, and all the while there's still a pandemic taking place. There's still people getting sick, there's still people unable to work. They're telling us we need to return to normal, and at the same time, you return to normal, you go back to work, but you don't get health care for when you get sick at work and get long COVID and are disabled. Because we still don't even understand everything about COVID and long COVID. We don't know that much. But the elites are telling us while they sit in their ivory towers, safe from all of this, go back to work.
Yeah.
But not without your health care. You don't get that. So pick a side. Like, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to go back to normal and start working and have health care so that we're protected? Or do you want us all to become disabled and not be able to work? What are they going to do? Go work at Burger King, go work in the mills and the factories and do all that hard work that we're doing to keep this country moving forward?
Never.
Never.
No, they never will.
That's
Never
right.
again.
That's right.
So,
normal.
yeah, exactly.
Define
I
normal.
guess the new normal, as they like to call it, but their new normal and what the new normal should be are vastly different. Woo! So what we've been doing to combat all that, and I looked at this specifically from like the Central Appalachian, our organization, so if I missed some things, I'm sorry. But we've been base building, we've been connecting with communities that are being most affected by this. We've been visiting some of the low-income housing projects in Johnstown and Altoona, setting up people's clinics, letting these people know that the Medicaid cutoffs are happening. And I'm sure if you guys have been on a base building mission, like there's people that had no idea.
Right.
There's people that had Medicaid and didn't know they were in danger of losing their Medicaid because they received no notice. So again, it's okay for them not to give you notice that you're not gonna have health care anymore, but it's not okay for you to not do your paperwork exactly the way they want it.
That's right. And we're always wrong and you're always right.
Exactly.
And so many of these are kids.
Yeah.
Right, and so many of these people are children. I actually had a figure, of the 154,000 people that were kicked off Medicaid in Pennsylvania alone, 38,000 of them were kids. That's 38,000 kids that don't have health care.
So wrong.
I was on it before.
How are they supposed to learn in school if they don't have good health?
Exactly.
I was on.
These are the same people that tell us we shouldn't provide them with free lunch and breakfast either.
Yeah.
How do we expect our kids to learn when they're sick and hungry? So in addition to our base building, we've been informing them of the impending cutoffs. We've been encouraging people to join us. We've got a lot of really good positive interactions with people that didn't know Put People First existed. People that have been interested in joining us. People that have gotten shut-off notices, we've been assisting them and helping them file appeals. We've been working to introduce legislature to form a public health care advocate in Pennsylvania, someone that would be in the Attorney General's office to work with people that are getting hit with insane medical bills to fight them. instead of us being expected to do it ourselves when we have no idea how to navigate the health insurance system because it's intentionally created to be confusing.
That's right.
Have someone whose job it is to advocate for us in the government to do that. To help us get our money back into our hands that we earn and out of healthcare profiteers' pockets.
Yes.
That's right.
We've been meeting with politicians to discuss the local cutoffs and the public health care advocate. Over the summer, Capo met with Judy Ward, who's a state senator for our region, and we talked to her about the Medicaid cutoffs. We talked to her about public equity firms buying up all the hospitals in the area. We talked to her about the formation of a public health care advocate and sort of gauged her interest on it. And it did go surprisingly well. It could have gone better, but it definitely could have gone worse. So we have a bug in her ear. We're gonna hopefully meet with her again and with the rest of the politicians in this area and really keep pushing this.
Beautiful, wow. Yes. I would never know she hasn't emceed something before. This is amazing.
It was my detailed notes.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like so angry about this situation, honestly. Like, I just feel so angry that they're calling this the unwinding. And I said earlier in Pittsburgh, I really want to know what communication strategist or consultant came up with that term and how much they got paid. Because this is not an unwinding. An unwinding sounds like a little ball of yarn that your kitten is playing with. It sounds like kicking your feet up after a long day at work with a cold drink. It's not cutting 24 million people off of healthcare. That is not an unwinding.
Yeah.
That is a massive human rights violation. And if they're telling us, that they need to take back the healthcare from the pandemic, then why don't we take back the trillions of dollars that the billionaires made during the pandemic? They're not giving that back.
Yes.
Are they giving that back? They're not giving it back.
No,
But we're supposed to give back our health care. We're supposed to give back our child tax credit. We're supposed to give back our food stamps.
Yeah.
But they haven't given back trillions of dollars in wealth that they made during the pandemic. So why are we the only ones who have to give it back?
Yeah.
But they're still trying to cut off people from SNAP.
Right.
Because they changed the rules and said that they have to work so many hours to receive it if you're from the ages of 20 up to 50.
Yes.
$20 million to them is like $500 to us.
That's right.
It's like chump change.
That's right. So Put People First PA is 11 years old. We are politically independent, in case you couldn't tell, which means that we don't take our marching orders from the two corporate parties of Wall Street. And that's a real big sticking point in this whole healthcare crisis, because 600,000 people lost Medicaid under President Reagan. 2.3 million people lost healthcare pre-COVID under President Trump. This crisis is affecting up to 24 million people, but guess what? That's 10 to 40 times the healthcare losses under those previous administrations. But guess what? It's not being really talked about in that same way, right? And we know why that is. It's because of political dependence. And so we need a mass movement of people who are politically independent, who are willing to hold all power holders accountable. That's absolutely crucial. And we have to do that by building permanently organized communities across every county, every town, every city, every rural area across Pennsylvania. That's how we do it. So we are a politically independent, member-led, staff-free organization, really committed to building permanently organized communities across PA. So why don't we start to hear from folks who are here to share and to enlighten us and educate us. And we say that movements begin with the telling of untold stories, and there are millions of stories about what is happening right now that have to be told, and that's why we're here. Lauren, you want to start introducing our folks?
So, Janina, would you like to go first and share your story?
Janina,
I didn't know I was going first.
Red alert, red alert.
But it's all good.
Yeah, sure, why not? All right. Not the first time. Okay. Hello, my name is Janina Gorman, and I am a member of Put People First PA and a food service worker. I am also the sole provider for my family of 5. As a tipped worker, I make $5 an hour, plus tips. Without Medicaid, there is no possible way I could afford the medical insurance, procedures, or medications that my family needs. My 2 daughters were both born with a severe myopic strabismus. They have both needed multiple surgeries to correct this. Without Medicaid, we would not have been able to afford these surgeries, and both of my daughters would be legally blind now. I am thankful we had and still have Medicaid to cover these surgeries so that my daughters can save their sight. There are millions of working class families just like mine who are now in danger of losing their health care. This is a death sentence. This is not business as usual. How, in any moral society, can we justify killing millions when we have the means to care for all those who need it? More people are losing their health care now than at any time in the last 40 years. Healthcare is a human right, and there should never be any hurdles or rationalization that justifies killing people by taking away their means to access healthcare so that others can make record profits. No one should profit off of the suffering and death of others in any society with any type of moral compass. I'm sure you've all heard the saying, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. This is absolutely true. If you are fighting to breathe because you can't afford your asthma medication, or constantly terrified you will be forced into a diabetic coma because you can't afford your insulin, or living with horrible chronic pain because you can't afford the doctor or medication to relieve it, how can you have any type of quality of life? Healthcare is a human right, and everyone deserves it. This is why I'm here today with Put People First PA. Together, we are organizing, getting into step, and fighting back across this country. We are building a movement from the bottom up and organizing across all lines of division to ensure that everyone has a right to health care. Join us today because everyone has a right to live. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can win. Thank you.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live.
And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live. This is a song from the Poor People's Campaign. So we'll sing it a couple more times so everybody can get it. It basically says, everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail, because we do. Sometimes we got to do it, right? Sometimes we got to do civil disobedience.
Yes.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live. Beautiful. Yes. Frank, would you like to come?
Sure.
Wow.
Yes, give it up for Frank and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Frank. I'm from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, my whole ass life. There's a couple things I want to talk about today. The first thing I want to say is that kind of turns to horror at the end. Pennsylvania makes it so you have to provide pregnant women with Medicaid, which is amazing. And it is the reason that when we had Giovanni, my son, who is over there, when we had him and we were in the hospital, we weren't scared. You know, we were at peace. We were having a joyous moment where we were going through a lot, obviously, but we weren't terrified of what was going to happen afterwards. We weren't waiting for the bills to hit. We weren't scared that every small procedure was going to result in something else we'd have to worry about when we went home. We weren't worried about debt when we had our son. But afterwards, once we did have him, getting everyone back on Medicaid became a nightmare because we were just coming out of COVID and we were going through these shutoffs and everything became 100 times more difficult. It went from something that was completely carefree, provided by the state, and just simple, to becoming a disaster of paperwork. And I've been on the phone for hours because the call lines never answer. They never tell you what you actually need to do. You are just waiting to talk to anyone all the time. All of the legal issues you go through, there's advocates, but they're hard to get a hold of. Everyone is hard to get a hold of. And that's because I work a full-time job. And that's the other thing, is that trying to keep everyone taken care of, the fact that I have to do that even while working a full-time job, that's what people will tell you. If you need health care, you go get a good job, they'll take care of you. Well, that's just not the case. The profits are pouring into other people's pockets, and they don't care if we get taken care of. We had a success story because the state took care of us, and then they dropped us right after they could. The moment they could, they dropped us. And the only way to keep them accountable to that sort of thing is if the people that fought for the original concession from the state come back together. Because they didn't do that completely of their own free will. That was a fight. That was the people of Pennsylvania holding people accountable. That is the people, the poor people, the workers, the people that are disabled fighting for their rights. The other thing I want to talk about is that my other partner, Kiki, she's a musician. And there is a well-known secret among artists and among the population at large that when you do something like art, even if you're successful, that is when things get worse. If you have some money to your name, but you don't have an actual employer, no one takes care of you. So artists die regularly. People that others hold up as paragons, as people we should support and respect, die regularly because they cannot go to the hospital. There's no money for it. There's no health care. And the way healthcare is run by the profiteers in this country, prices aren't for the actual service. They're marked up so that the insurances will pay whatever they feel like, just to make as much money as possible. So none of it's affordable for an individual, even though these services should be free because we live in a society. But they're not affordable for somebody that doesn't have an employer-backed healthcare plan. And that is just to divide us. That is just to hold us apart and make us fight amongst each other. So the only way forward is all of us together as one group of people, the poor, the dispossessed, the working class, everybody that is ignored by those with wealth, everybody that is put against one another out here in the streets, in the urban centers, in the rural areas, all of us together, one voice. We have to step up. We have to get in step. And we have to make them realize the success story can be the everyday occurrence. It doesn't have to immediately, the moment you get beyond what they have deemed you deserve fall off and become a horror story. It can be success every day. We can have that. It's within our grasp. We just have to put people first.
Thanks, Frank. Awesome, as usual. Our next speaker, if she's willing to come up, is Maddie. You can bring Gio too. Maybe he has some words he'd like to share.
He is heavy. I don't know if he's gonna be okay with me walking away from him though. He seems fine. Hello everyone. My name's Madeline.
Hi, Madeline.
Hello. I've been in PPF for a number of years, my entire adult life. So this organization has seen many of my struggles. When my mom got sick, because of her lack of health care and the lack of, care that even in Medicare, we had to fundraise so much just for her to be able to get the money that she needed for injections she would need after her surgery. And it was months of fundraising, holding events to fundraise, and we ended up losing that battle because it was just so long to try and get this money up that by the time that she was able to get the surgery, she got pneumonia because of the terrible care that was going on during the COVID pandemic. There was a disgusting lack of care for everyone that her pneumonia just slipped under the radar. So we lost her, and then hardly a year later, we lost my aunt from stroke after COVID. Right before that, we lost my grandfather. I don't have many older living relatives left. And now, I get to hear stories from my siblings about them getting kicked off Medicaid. I get to a fun thing about having a baby and breastfeeding is they will deteriorate your bones, and my teeth are kind of falling apart, and I'm afraid to go to the dentist because they have just, thrown us through the ringer trying to get our Medicaid renewed. We kept trying to renew things and get all of the paperwork done. How many times did I go on that website and that website was down? Right. How many times have we called and got no answer? For hours? How long has it been since we called our caseworker and they haven't answered it?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So there's nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is organize and unite and take care of each other and fight against a system that puts our lives and our families at risk of death. Just so much death.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Janina. So I want to open it up in a moment for anyone else who's here, who would like to speak, want to share something. Before we do that, I just want to say that we are organizing, and what we're doing tomorrow, tonight, we're going to Harrisburg. Some of us are actually caravanning to Harrisburg. And then tomorrow, some other regions are meeting us there. We're putting together all the pieces of this quilt, and we have a meeting tomorrow with Department of Human Services Secretary Val Arkush. We requested a meeting with Governor Shapiro. He wasn't able to give us the meeting for whatever reasons, but we do have a meeting with Val Arkush. And the Department of Human Services has the ability today to restore the adult dental benefit in Medicaid that Maddie is talking about. They can do that today if they want to. Yeah. It doesn't have to go through the legislature. They have the ability today to raise the eligibility limits for Medicaid because it's up to the states to determine how to implement the Medicaid program. Yeah. It's up to the states. So the federal government just sets a minimum level of what must be covered, but the states can increase that. They can change and increase the level of eligibility. They can do that. And so we are putting forward those demands tomorrow. We're going to be meeting with them, and we're also going to be doing an event in Harrisburg in the East Wing Rotunda. So we're not just talking about this, we're taking this to the power holders and we're putting forward our demands and holding them accountable, no matter who they are, no matter what party they belong to. Yes. And we're taking with us the stories, the quilts, and the stories of over 700 people that have signed our petition, who have said in that petition and shared their experiences. We're taking those stories with us to Harrisburg too, and we're going to give that petition and those stories to Secretary Arkush and to Josh Shapiro. So that's where we're headed tomorrow, and we're going to let folks know what happened with that. We don't know what to expect, but we know that we're not going to stop organizing. We have to continue organizing no matter what the outcomes of those meetings are. So I want to open it up to see if anyone else would like to share anything, your experience, a story, anything. Yeah, go ahead. Tim, do you want to come up here, or do you want to stay there and I could bring this to you?
Can I be loud enough right here and just talk like this?
Why don't I just bring this over? It's portable.
Well, I would first like to start this by saying, how many years has it been since everything happened with the medication? Is that 1 or 2 years?
Almost 3 years ago now.
I have mental health issues, and I was put on a medication that was supposed to help, not hinder. About 3 weeks into taking it, I started to lose my ability to speak. And like, this is all gonna just come over now. It's just gonna stop. My speech went away. Long story short, I was fighting for Medicaid because my speech, I can't, if I get flustered, I can't speak. I can't stand for long periods of time, so I can't do the factory work I used to do, or quarry work I used to do. And I can't sit for extended periods of time when my legs start to hurt. And when Maddie was talking about trying to get a hold of the Medicaid people, it got to a point with me with the Medicaid people at the office. They knew me by a first name basis, and they said, have a seat, we'll see what they can do for you. Like the security guard that who was always there. Knew me by their first name period, says, you understand all the roles? I said, yes, sir. And I would go back and, yeah. I know it's not always fair, but T for tenacity. So. But forgive me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Tim. Anyone else would like to share right now? You're more than welcome.
We don't like.
Speak for yourself.
Even if this is your first time being in a space with PPF or your 50th time, you're welcome to share. Elise, go ahead.
As my mom said in her wonderful speech, there are many health problems that this family has. My older sister has asthma, as do I. My younger sister does too, and my mom has a rare lung disorder. My big sister has arthritis. That runs in the family as well. Cancers are common in our family: breast cancers, lung cancers, kidneys. Without health care, I don't know if this family would survive, whether it's distant family or the people that I'm closest to. I don't want to lose the people that I love just because some corporate, part of my French, assholes want to keep their money.
Right.
I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to have my mom, my siblings, my dad. Tim is my dad. I want to have them by my side for as long as they can, and I don't want to lose them because there are these Medicaid cuts. My family means everything to me, and it's not always blood that I'm talking about. Put people first as a family in itself. I don't want to lose any of you guys either. And if I do, I don't know what I'm going to do because I've went through some really hard things. And without my family, extended or otherwise, blood or otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. If I lose them, I have nothing left. And when you have nothing, you have to find a reason to live, and sometimes that's harder than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Elise. So there's a song that was written by, and it goes like this. We get sick.
We get sick.
They get rich.
They get rich.
Does not have to.
Does not have to.
Be like this.
Be like this.
There's enough.
There's enough.
For everyone.
For everyone.
There's enough.
There's enough.
For everyone.
For everyone.
We get sick.
We get sick.
They get rich.
They get rich.
Does not have to.
Does not have to.
Be like this.
Be like this.
There's enough.
There's enough.
For everyone.
For everyone.
There's enough.
There's enough.
For everyone.
For everyone.
And there is enough for everyone. And the biggest hoodwink that they have done on us is to make us think that that is not the case. But it's a lie. So, Anyone else want to share? If not, I think we'll start to transition into our community meal that has been so lovingly prepared by Josh. And then some of us will kind of continue to decorate our cars and get ready to caravan to Harrisburg tonight, which is really exciting as well. And shout out to Southeast PA and Northeast PA, who also had events tonight coinciding with this one. We had Southwest earlier today, and then South Central will be tomorrow morning, and then we'll all be coming to Harrisburg together. Yes.
There is a verse in a song called Powerful. Have you heard of it? It's by the Empire Cast, but there's this verse in it that says, mothers that bury their child, how can we sit there and hide? That kind of reminds me of what's going on now.
Yes, thank you, Elise. And I really appreciated your point about the fact that we're doing this for the people we love, right? And there's so many people that we love and care about in our whole class, right? That deserve to live healthy, fruitful lives. Yeah. We don't have to have the kind of suffering and pain that exists in this society or in this world. We don't have to have it. And we have to work to make a world that is not like that. And that involves killing the system before the system kills us.
Yes.
Just real quick with the same story I had, the medication I was on had a 1% chance of anybody having a reaction to it. I was the 1% of the 1% with that medication for that reaction to have that my shrink lied to me about, and then I had to talk to my friend who's a pharmacist, and who he talked to was a
Psychiatrist.
It's okay. Take your time.
a pharmacy tech. There we go.
Thank you.
I was on that
And you're
medication,
speaking
I
now.
had no reaction, just saying that.
Thank you. So we say healthcare is a human right, fight, fight, fight. Healthcare is a human right?
Fight, fight, fight.
Healthcare is a human right?
Fight, fight, fight.
And we say no hurdles, no